Today I am taking you behind the hoop of my latest finish. This is my ginger thread house, and the cutout for this is from Wonderful Specialty Threads. But let's start, before I go into any of the details, let's start by looking at the hoop guts. Okay, so this is a really cool hoop I wanted to talk about first of all. You can see it's stamped made in Taiwan. The hardware is super heavy duty. Like, you just don't see hardware like this on your run-of-the-mill new wooden hoop from the store anymore. It was, as much as I love the hoop, it was slightly splintery, but that is now covered over. It was like right around here that every time I was stitching, I was catching on a little like wood piece that was broken off back here. But since the hoop is finished, you can't see that anymore. But yeah, this is like a really thick hoop too. I know I'm gushing about this hoop, but if you've bought hoops recently at like the craft store and you're just getting the cheapy wooden hoop, you will definitely notice a difference between the hoops you get now and like this gorgeous thing that I found at a thrift store. So anyway, the hoop guts, there's not really much going on. We've just got a lot of thread. This is a mostly thread stitched project, and when we look at the front, you'll see I didn't use a ton of beads, and we're going to go into the threads too. So let's go back to the front. Okay, so this is, let me get the packaging here. This is from Wonderful Specialty Threads, and you can see there's a hashtag, Wonderful Ginger Thread House. There's a contest going on to create your own ginger thread house, and if you purchase this from them, you get a piece of wool, and you also get the wool cutout of the house. Now, I didn't end up using this red because as soon as I saw the color of the house, I knew what I wanted to do. I was picturing a woodland hoop, kind of subtle, to go with my decor that I change up for the winter. And these are all the colors that I'm absolutely loving right now. And I've had this fabric for a very long time. It's from Moda Fabric. It's called Atelier, I believe, by Three Sisters for Moda. I love it, and I've been holding on to it, and I would like to see it more. So I decided to use it in this project. So here's my little house. I also used wool. This is Woolworks from Andover Fabrics. So I've got the wool from Wonderful here. And then I also used the Woolworks, which is like another type of wool that you can cut up and use, for the two details on the roof. Let's see. The green is another wool that I had. I just pulled from my scrap, the green for the trees. And I just free-handed the trees. I wanted the house to feel like it was nestled in a forest, and so I wanted to scatter some trees throughout. I didn't center the house. I wanted it to feel off-center. And then I wanted to add some ivy growing up the windows. So I did that with my thread and my beads. My sister had given me a big bag of random trims that she was getting rid of, and this was a really cool one here. It looks like a snowy little path. So all in all, I am absolutely thrilled with this. Oh, these are beads that I got in a bag of beads that someone gave me, and I just have the two little puffs of smoke from the chimney. So yeah, I really love how this hoop turned out. But let me talk to you about some of the supplies that I used. Okay, so if you look at my Instagram, you'll see that I put together thread palettes all the time and bead palettes. I love to, as I'm getting a project started, I just pull colors. I pull all the colors I might be using, and I put them in my bin, my work bin, and that's how I get started. I might not use everything that I've pulled out, but it helps me if I'm moving around with my project. I stitch upstairs and I stitch downstairs, and I have a little bin, and everything's in front of me then. So I can make decisions. I don't have to be in my studio picking supplies to make decisions. So I have lots of stuff. Let's talk first about these, because I get asked about these a lot on Instagram. So these are from Wonderful Specialty Thread. They are pre-cut wool circles. I cannot speak highly enough about these. I absolutely love them. I use them in so many of my projects. You can get them right from Wonderfill. I think the website is shopwonderfill.com. I can put that in the description too. So what you get in these color packs are strips of circles. And I'll show you how easy it is to just cut a little circle. I just kind of like tug on it. I always start at one end. So I just kind of tug and oops, there's my circle. So easy to use. I like to stack these between sequins and beads. On this project, I added it right here under a little piece of lace that I used to make a wreath on the door. So it just gives a little color, a little height because of the wool, the texture. Yeah, I absolutely love those. Okay, so let's talk threads then. The Thread House contest is based around the Eleganza pearl cotton, which you already know is one of my absolute favorite threads to stitch with. And so I pulled out all of my colors to match this. Now these are not pearl cotton. This is what I use to bead with. And this is also from Wonderfill. It's a 12 weight cotton and it is called Fruity, Fruitti. So if you're on their website looking for the wool circles, take a look at these threads too. Excellent for beading. It's a nice thin thread that if I'm adding beads, I don't mind if this thread peeks through and I see it because it's a really pretty color. These are all the variegated colors. So I used those to add the beads in the little pathway here, up in the little snow on the roof. And I'm trying to think, and I used it to add the wreath to the door. So that's the Fruity thread. Now let's get to the Eleganza. Oops, I have one more spool of that. Okay, so if you're looking at Eleganza, you'll notice there it comes in two different packages. It comes either on a spool like this or on a spool like this. So these spools are the Sue Spargo colors, which you can also find on her website. And these are just the Wonderfill Eleganza colors. So when you're looking at these, you'll notice these spools have different colors. We've got the purples and we have blue. There's also a green spool, but I didn't use any of the green in this project. The difference in the spool colors, the blue is a size 3 pearl cotton, which is the thickest. So if you're comparing it to the size 5 right here, you'll notice that the 3, which is the green, is thicker, and the blue, which is the 5, is thinner. And then the size 8 is the thinnest of these, and that would be right below that. Now, if I look at the Fruity that I talked about, the 12 weight, you can really see the difference. You can see why it's so good for beading. So here's all 3, and that yellow is the 12 weight cotton. It doesn't have quite the twist to it that the Eleganza pearl cottons have. It's just your standard sewing thread, but it's very strong. I find that it doesn't tangle, and I just really, really love using it for beading with my embroidery. So those are the threads. These are both, oh, I had my size 8s right here, so I can actually show you. I had this one cut and I didn't use the full strand. Let me show you so that you can see all 3. Okay, so we have our size 3, our size 5, and this is our size 8. I want to show you all 3 together so that you can get a visual. Of course, they're not going to cooperate. Okay, so you can see the green is the thickest, and then we've got our mid-weight is the blue, and then our thinnest, the size 8, is that off-white color. All excellent. I use all of the weights for different types of embroidery, so I like to have a variety of the eleganza to work with. And I love color and I love thread, so it's just something that I like to have around. Now for beads on this project, you can see I added beads in the ivory, I added beads to the pathway. Those are both size 6 seed beads, and these are my John Bead check seed beads. So that's a size 6. You can also see in the tree, I added little details to the branches. Those are a size 8. So you can see the size 8 are smaller than the size 6. I also used a size 8 up here. So just so that you can get an idea of the size differences in beads, if you're looking to find beads, both of those are sizes that I use a lot and recommend for embroidery like this. So if you're getting started, grab a few colors in a size 8 and a size 6, and that's enough to get you started with embroidery. So I hope you enjoyed this behind the hoop of my ginger thread house, and I will leave all the shopping information and links and things that I talk about below. Until next time, happy stitching!